Well, it's Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket, and what a stunning bounce back, comeback, overall result that was. Now, I've got Chris Vernon here at Vern158. We're meant to be having Debashish Singh from India as well. He's here in the next 5 or so minutes. He's writing a match report as we speak, so we have to respect that. But so everyone, viewers, you must be as impressed as I am. I was a bit gobsmacked by some of the Indian selections, the two debutants. I thought that was interesting that they blooded 2 players, but my gosh, Ishan Kishan is certainly worthy of being in that team, isn't he, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, he's been, I guess it shows the benefit of the IPL for these guys. Literally have almost international experience before you even play an international game. And yeah, I mean, it was very similar to the first game, really. It was pretty one-sided. And, as we said before the series, it was, I think the toss, as ever, is really important, with the side looking to chase. That at the end of England's innings, I thought the pitch looked quite slow and quite difficult. It was clearly quite difficult to get away, but it clearly, the dew, I think, helped a little bit. And, I think the side that wins the toss will probably win most of the games in this series. So India were very good. Both sides are pretty poor in the field. I thought both sides fielded particularly poorly. That makes a big difference. There's been a lot of talk about the floodlights at this ground, and it's certainly watching India field and watching England field. Maybe there's some thinking behind it there. But India were very good. It's amazing. It's great to see Kohli. I've been a big fan, and I've said even last night on your Twitter that he's not going anywhere as captain, and I don't see many people in the comments calling for his head today, which is a good thing, because he's one of the best, isn't he?
Look, and he fittingly scored 73, therefore 3,001 runs, the first to break 3,000 in a T20 format. The superlatives just don't end. I mean, it's almost as if India maybe took the first game in a controlled manner, and they built crescendo in the way they play cricket. I really believe that. I'll compare it to, say, a game like rugby league. Some teams have 26 games in the season, and they don't play that well the first 2 or 3. They're not as fit, and they win a few games, lose a few games, but then the crescendo comes towards the end. And it's a little bit like this, I must be honest. Sometimes when you charge it below the gate too early, you can actually peter off. It is true. And I think there's an element of that where they needed to, they push the button. It's quite impressive, really.
Yeah, but I think it's a very different series now. I think it's amazing when you're a bit out of form, and as a batter and as who's played a bit of cricket, like Butler put Kohli down, probably a catch that he should have caught. It's amazing what a little bit of fortune can just turn, change your fortunes. And apart from that, he was pretty imperious, wasn't he? And rightly so. But I think it's really difficult in this series to say that India started slowly or they're coming back. I think that this England one-day side's a lot different to the Test side, and I think it depends on who wins the next 3 tosses. Probably determines the series. I think that the side chasing. Interesting point was made on the commentary today. They said, it's a really weird decision to reschedule the World 2020 to have it in India. Dinesh Karthik was on, and he said that it's in the middle of monsoon season when the World 2020 is going to be played. And he said the dew will have even more of a factor. And it's just a little bit, that literally could be every game in that tournament decided, especially with the side. You're not talking Ireland versus Australia. It's going to be the best sides in the world. And if it is decided by who bowls first, then it might just take the gloss off it for whoever wins it, really, because if you've got favourites like India, or India losing the toss against South Africa and South Africa winning because they chase well, it just takes it off a little bit, if that makes sense.
So is every match slated for day-night?
Yeah, I don't know about the World Cup, but I think they're all day nights in this series.
Yeah, I would argue that that's not the way it should be played. I think they should be playing some games during the day as well. Yeah. Really, it should be balanced. I think if they make it one type of arena, as in night, Okay, it probably suits crowd, or not only crowds, but viewers more maybe.
Mhm.
But I think it's got to be a bit of combination there. I think, and I think I'm not sure how they've addressed that. It's not too late to change that. I'm sure the scheduling of time of the day could be changed.
Garib Banker, winter is over, no dew today. Interesting that when Washington Sundar in his post-match interview was asked about it, and he said that the dew played a big factor. Dinesh Karthik, who's played a lot of cricket in the IPL, said that dew is a factor. I know that Garib is a very passionate Indian fan, but you might have to concede this one, Garib, that I don't think Washington Sundar was lying in his interview that the dew was an important factor.
No. I mean, so with the press conference, that's still going on, isn't it, as we speak?
Mm-hmm. I don't know about press conferences. They were just interviews on the side of the side of the pitch.
Yeah. But let's look at some interesting. I mean, Chris Jordan was a little bit disappointing today in terms of being expensive.
Yeah.
Ishan Kishan was amazing. Rahul got out to a very good ball from Sam Curran. Very good ball. Or he bowled well, Sam Curran, especially early on. Yeah. But boy, oh boy, Virat Kohli just shows his worth.
He's quality, isn't he? He's
amazing.
He's quality.
And I must make it clear. I asked that question on my community page just to see what people would think. It was not based on my own opinion, and I had to make that clear. But it's a question that needs to be asked. Why? Because there are people out there who are commenting about that in the open world.
It just amazes me as an English fan who we've historically struggled more in the one. It's like Owen Morgan having a bad game and losing a game as captain, and the whole media here saying he shouldn't be captain. It just the mind boggles really. It's he's gone. The same people who were calling for his head yesterday and saying he shouldn't be leaving the side are saying he's the best player and the best captain ever today. It's just bizarre. I know that's the nature of the beast with cricket in India and how passionate it is, but the guy averages 62 as captain of his country. He's one of the best, if not the best ever. Like you're allowed to go through patches of out of form in professional sport, and that's just the way it goes. You can't consistently. He's almost a victim of his own success, isn't he?
Okay, a couple of things. The time in Australia, there's one person that's asked that, is 4:24 a.m. Chris is very much aware of this time frame because he was actually doing that during the Test series quite often. And I am looking a little bit tired, but I have watched the game, and that's probably. I was quite spellbound actually. I thought it was an amazing game, and Virat Kohli. I'm going to say this quite clearly: is the best T20 player that's played the game.
Yeah, he's certainly in the top echelons, isn't he? I think it's the best is a difficult question to answer because it depends how you define the best. But yeah, I mean, he's certainly stats wise would say he's up there, isn't it? Certainly one of the best batters.
And you have to say he is the best batter by way of stats, by way of match. The key again is that he match wins. In a game like this, he match wins. And look, even Rishabh Pant today, he was only there for 13 balls. He looked good too.
I think that he came in at a good time where the game was probably done. All it needed was someone to sort of put the cherry on top. Really, I mean, Kishan and Kohli probably won the game, and Pant just came in and just put the fire nail in the coffin, really, didn't he? But he played some great shots as well. But no, Kishan, it's interesting with Kishan because he doesn't. I think I'm right. He doesn't. In the IPL, he's seen more as a 3-4-5, isn't he? And whether or not India then see him being more of a middle order player. Maybe you could chuck Kohli into open and bat, but I mean, obviously now Kishan's going to open the batting in this series. But moving forward, it's interesting if he doesn't open in the IPL side he plays in, but it opens for India. That's just quite a funny. It's just an interesting dynamic, isn't it?
Well, he's a left-hander, so they're looking for a left-hand right-hand combination like Kishan, and it looks
which you said wasn't a good idea, wasn't
it? Yeah. So he plays for Mumbai Indians, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
So that means I'm pretty sure it's Mumbai Indians.
There's one that plays for Kolkata that I always get confused. It's him and.
I think he plays Mumbai Indians.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, I believe it is, Rohit Sharma will open with him next game. Rahul sadly got a duck. Not that he's a bad player, but Rohit Sharma was always coming in. Ishan Kishan's just playing himself into a relatively regular position in the side for the moment. Both Darwin and Rahul are in the mix, yes, and they're not going to be left out. In particular, Rahul, but I think you might find this young guy may have just burst his way onto the scene in the best way possible. So there was this discussion about Kohli's foot, if it was out of the crease or not. Quite frankly, my honest opinion, it doesn't matter because they won the game by that stage. It wouldn't have made a difference. We can dwell on that. It was very interesting because the foot looked on the line, but maybe the benefit of the doubt was given, which I have to be realistic about that. So, so Ishan Kishan, Rohan Sharma, Pandya, they're all from Sky. They're all from Mumbai Indians. That says a lot. That's pretty strong. And then you got Rishabh Pant and Iyer from Delhi Capitals. Hence my thoughts on the IPL is just there and then. As Delhi Capitals are in with a big shot, and their threat is probably Mumbai Indians if everything goes their way. They're probably the two major players, I'd say, in the IPL. I think that's been proven by the selection. Okay, now Virat Kohli, let's get back to him for a minute. There was one shot that he flicked off his hip. That was amazing.
He just, when he's in form, he's just brilliant to watch, isn't he? Virat Kohli, you know, he's, as I said, I've said all along that he's just, you know, he's allowed to have dips in form, and you know, I've certainly never said that he should be rested or dropped. You know, I think it was just a ludicrous suggestion. So it's nice to see. I mean, obviously England were on the receiving end of it, but you know, something went his way a little bit. You know, the Butler put that one down leg side, and that makes all the difference. You don't give someone like that two chances, do you? So
no.
From a cricket point
There's
of
a
view,
comment from Gareth Bankers just said that, which we haven't been able to listen to because we're talking now. Owen Morgan in the post-match interview said tonight there was no due full credit to India. So
I'd say Morgan's very interesting as a captain. You know, I listened, and I would be. You listen to Sundar was said that there was fact, and I think that it's generally accepted. You know, why decide to chase so much? You know, I think that even the Indian commentators would say that chasing benefits. Owen Morgan is one of these captains that will never, ever, ever offer an excuse. It's always the other side were better than us, and we didn't perform at the best of our ability. You know, he'll never offer anything up. So, you know, I'm not saying it was key, and I think India deserved to win, but there's no doubt that every side wins the toss and bowls first. You know, that it is a factor, isn't it? So I actually thought that England posted quite a competitive total there, and you know, I think that India were just too good in the end, and Mark Wood was a big miss. You know, bruised heel.
So
you know, he wasn't
Mark Wood was
injured.
No. Is it soreness or injury? There's a difference.
Bruised heel. He was said he was a bruised heel. He was ruled out through injury. As small an injury as it is, I don't know, but he wasn't rotated.
Yeah, I was actually very disappointed with Chris Jordan. He looked really good in the first match, and the second match he just didn't have the same oomph about him, to be honest with you.
He's interesting. I guess it's the nature of the beast with any bowler that specialises in death bowling, is that in 2020 cricket everyone gets whacked. You know, it's just the way it is, isn't it? And especially, you know, he's a sort of bowler that can go for runs, and you know, today just wasn't his day. And I know they'll bounce back, I'm sure. You know, they're a very fine. You know, these, as I said before, these are the best two sides in the world comfortably in white ball cricket. So. Yeah, they're all very fine bowlers, and it just wasn't their day today. They've probably not bowled a lot of Kishan before, and you know, he just complimented Kohli brilliantly, didn't he?
I'm really impressed by the selection of Ishan Kishan. It was a very bold move. Let's be honest, it was a bold move because, you know, a debut time in a match that was probably the most critical of the five T20I series. It was a very bold move. I'm very impressed with some of the selection that India are making. First one was a bit off, perhaps, in terms of the bowling, but the second one, they've come back and have actually improved their batting lineup. Axar Patel didn't work the first, and as you said earlier, I think he said that he wouldn't be the same bowler as he was in the Test. And I think India were on a high by leaving him in the side, but it proved that he was gettable, or got out, so to speak. Rashid was really good in the first match. Today, he bowled okay, but he was up against it. The batting side was well and truly on top.
And Ben Stokes dropped a catch, and you know, it's a lot harder. if we'll humour Gary Banker and say that if dew was a factor, then it's harder. Potentially, the later on in the evening, it can be harder to bowl for spinners. And um, people have bad games at the office. India. Everyone was saying what a bad side they were after the first game, and it was just sometimes you've got to tip your hat and say that the other side were better. They didn't panic. I didn't think there'd be too many changes in their side. I do look at that Indian bowling attack and think that they are possibly missing a bowler somewhere. I don't think you want to go in with just 5 bowlers and Hardik as your 5th bowler that has to bowl 4 overs. I think you'd want someone like a 6th option in there just in case, just to give a bit of variety, if that makes sense. I think a lot of the sides, the successful 2020 sides, have a 6th option, whether it's a part-time spinner or like England have. It's Stokes, Curran, and the 2 Currans are probably the 5th bowler. So this gives you a bit of.
But I think they were worried about their batting, so they bolstered their record. They put an extra batter in there.
Yeah.
And for the sake of not, but I think they may change that again. Sky didn't get an opportunity to bat today, which is sad for him on your debut not to get a bat. That's a bit tough. But I think that they probably won't have him in the second match. Next match, I should say.
Yeah, and they've got some great bowling to come back, and that's going to be a very different side in the World Cup. With Bumrah, and I guess it'll be Shami or Natarajan. I guess just depends how they want to go about it. They're a fine outfit, and they're giving guys a go, aren't they? I still think that India's bowling attack looks a little bit one-dimensional with the seamers, and just maybe a left armer, or as I said, Axar Patel gives a little bit of variety in there. But they're going to play around with it this series, same as England are. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Wood came in for Jofra Archer in the next game just to rotate and just to play around with their best sort of formation, if you like. But as I said, India were just too good today and fully deserved to win.
The non-selection of Mo and Ali. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I honestly don't think we would want to go into a 2020 World Cup in India with only 1 spinner. And I think that he would add something batting at 7 in that batting lineup as well. But I think that the best side probably sees Tom Curran go and Mo and Ali come in. But then again, that's why Mo and Ali, Owen Morgan and the coaches have paid the big bucks. It was an interesting look at Curran today. I thought that especially if Wood was injured, they might have gone Mo and Ali. But it's easy in hindsight to sit and say they got it wrong. Like the first game, if India win the toss in that first game and knock it off, everyone says Rahul and Dhawan, brilliant selection. They lost the toss, batted first, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. And one thing that those guys, Owen Morgan and so, won't be doing tonight is we got the team wrong. They would say they side available. And same as India, they've got a squad there that are all capable of winning games of cricket for their country. And sometimes the other side was just a bit better than them on the day.
Okay, just quickly, the fact is that the way that India bowled today was impressive, but it was more impressive about their batting. Let's be honest. It was their batting that was very impressive.
I actually think, I agree, but I think that they won the game with the ball. I think that these sides would back themselves to chase anything in those conditions. If there is a slight dew factor, I think that India would have been delighted with 160. So I think that they held England back at the end of it. I think they scored 28 off the last 4 overs, and England weren't, low on wickets. So. I think that India probably won it with the ball today, and that was the difference. A lot during the innings. England weren't a million miles away from where India were at the same point, but India just nailed it at the death, I thought, and bowled very well.
Okay, just quickly, there's some very good comments coming through. I'm noticing there's a bit of discussion about Natarajan as well. I've noticed that the discussion on Mo and Ali we've covered, but the Jadeja factor, I think we will see him in the World Cup. I think that he's extremely significant to this side as well. That's another aspect. I do sleep, guys, but today I watched the match with great delight. And I did make a mistake on the earlier match report. I actually said, and I'm going to admit to it, Shardul Thakur did play. I mistakenly made him out that he was changed in the team today, so it was my mistake. Okay, just a point. Did you pick that up from the earlier discussions, Chris, did you watch
No,
it?
I didn't watch much of earlier. I've been out and about
Okay.
today, so I
All
didn't
right.
catch any of it.
It was Mother's Day, isn't it? Okay. Amit Shrivastava is actually brought a good stat. He's told about the makeup of IPL players in the team. There were 3 Mumbai Indians, 3 Bangalore, 2 Delhi, 2 Punjab, 1 Chennai, Hyderabad, and no Kolkata. So that's interesting. You'll probably see that bolstered to probably 4 Mumbai, potentially. But Bangalore's there, but I'd say that Delhi, it's almost telling you the IPL selections where the IPL are at. And I think Delhi, I'm still convinced Delhi Capitals will give this year a very good shake. It's a bit of an aside, but I think we're very relevant. Okay, a lot of superlatives here. This series is now, and I think Owen Morgan will be going to the dressing room saying, we've got a 3 T20 international series starting today, which is a very good way of doing it because it adds that edge to the last 3 games even more. The reality is that this is a brilliant series. This is going to be extremely interesting. We predicted 3-2 either way, didn't we?
Yeah.
At the beginning, and I believe that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
we may see an England victory followed by an Indian victory. That's what I'm actually predicting, something like, and again, toss related. Absolutely,
Yeah.
It'll be very much toss related. You'll probably see a 2-all status as long as the tosses go evenly. And that last match, I'm not going to be able to get any sleep here, guys. What is this? This is ridiculous.
And you need your beauty sleep as well.
Yeah. Anyway, so look. I haven't been more interested in this cricket than I could ever imagine. These 2 countries are the number 1 and 2 in the world. Okay.
Yeah, fairly comfortably, I would say as well. I don't think there's much in it.
It's a huge gap. Australia are absolutely nowhere near this at the moment. They've got diabolical mess in selections. New Zealand, admirable, but that's it. Okay, we don't know the West Indies and Pakistan could fluke on the day or could turn up on the day. But at this point in time, these 2 teams are streets ahead in this format. The ODI, it's pretty close to the same.
They're the best 2 as well, I would say. But yeah, very, very similar. There's not a lot in it.
Let's make a point of Virat Kohli from it. I'm talking about being the best T20 player in the world. He is definitely the best ODI player going around, no doubt.
You see his stats when he chases when he's chasing a score. In one-day cricket, he averages 97 with the bat when chasing a score, and in 2020 internationals, he averages 108 when chasing a score. So it's incredible, really.
Well, that's the key to the best player in the world is a match winner. Okay, because chasing a score is your match winning. He's quite phenomenal. But he has, let's be honest, he has been in form all the way along. He just has been getting out. If that makes any sense. If he's given an opportunity to bat beyond a few overs, he shows up his ability. Every net practice I've seen him play, he's been brilliant. He's been absolutely outstanding. Okay, there's some great comments though. We've got some very insightful comments. Bumrah in for Sundar and Jadeja. That's probably I think that's probably the best way to look at it. I think Bhuvi, as they call him, Thakur. This is actually a pretty good bowling lineup. Bhuvi, Bumrah, Thakur, Sundar, and Jadeja. That's what they go with. I think that's a pretty good perspective of their bowling attack for the whole, the whole World Cup series. But they've got plenty of backups as well. Chris should not be here. No, he should be here, big time. We need to rotate people. We can't have a Pretty and a Panda every single report, nor can we have Chris to everyone. It's a combination of things we need. And I think it was important for Chris to be here today because Chris, somebody wanted to see you. You actually are glowing today. You're not so dark. You're not sitting.
Well, it's just because I'm just happy to come on and see Amit's, glowing, happy, smiley face, talking about, being in the comments. It's always a pleasure to see him. So, he's, I think he said something about that Jason Roy just knows how to hit over the wicket, which I think is slightly, a slight harsh on Jason Roy. I think he's a pretty decent all-round cricketer, to be fair to him. He won a World Cup and everything. So that's the way it goes in T20 cricket, though. I think that it's a shame that it turns slightly into baseball a little bit at the time. You could certainly say that there's some Indian batsmen that just have one shot as well, and that's the way the game is. It's stand, have a good solid base, and just hit through the line of the ball. So, I think Jason Roy's, I'm glad from an English perspective, he's found some form. That was important. We said that at the start of the series that his form could come down to, how England's form or fortunes could come down to how well Jason Roy goes. So, he's had a couple of good knocks. He probably have been slightly disappointed he didn't go on with it. But
well, he certainly started well. Started well. People asking what you're drinking.
It's just like apple blackcurrant lemonade. There's nothing too fancy, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. I'll get on the hard stuff next time.
Not a Bloody Mary, is it?
No, it would never be a Bloody Mary.
Okay, now there's some great comments. This is certainly, and Josna Gupta. No, he's not having a Guinness. It would be darker than that if it was a Guinness. Okay,
yeah, I'm not a Guinness fan.
There are so many aspects of this game that are intriguing to me, and I think we're about to be joined by Debashis, which is great. Oh, Debashis seen us here. Do you only come on when India win? Is this what I'm picking up?
That's what it seems to be. It's getting there's a theme here.
There is a theme.
Good thing they win a lot. We wouldn't ever see them otherwise.
Right.
Again, congratulations to your football side as well. I hear, is it the Mumbai FC? Did I see that they won the Indian Football League? Was that right?
Yeah, Indian Super League. Yeah,
See,
it's all Mumbai all the way. It's all Mumbai all the Mumbai winning the Vijay Hazare Trophy today. So, and they are also the reigning IPL champions, Mumbai Indians. So, it's basically all the sporting. They are now the sporting hub in the country.
But hang on a minute, Debashis, aren't you being loyal to your Kolkata?
Pardon?
Aren't you being loyal to teams from Kolkata?
No.
I'm shocked. Okay, Debashis, what's your take on Kohli? Wasn't that magnificent? And Ishan Kishan?
Today, let's talk about Ishan Kishan. What a debut!
Magnificent.
He brought a bit of fresh air. It was just outstanding. I still cannot sink in to see such a knock. And also Virat Kohli, the way he batted, the responsibly. Obviously, you feel for Ben Stokes, the catch he dropped. And also Josh Butler, the Virat Kohli early on in his innings when he was on 10, I think, leg glancing, and Butler could have latched onto it, but it was a bit tough because it was not to his left side, which is not his ideal position. But then Virat Kohli also was really, really stupendous. So obviously, there was much talk about India losing the first match, comprehensively beaten by England, but to bounce back the way they did in this match means what a cracker of a series it's going to be. 3 matches more to go, and more means what a series it is turning up to be.
So, Debashis, from your perspective, Rohit Sharma's to be placed in the third T20 match. He's to be brought in. Will Rahul be the one that will be stepped aside now? Because of what happened with Ishan Kishan, will he stay?
100%. After such a knock today, I think it will be a problem of plenty. It's quite a few healthy, good headaches in the Indian dressing room. With the likes of Shikhar Dhawan was already in the dugout. Rohit Sharma was rested. Now you have KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan now coming up. So India have a problem of plenty, but it all augurs good for India leading up to the World Cup.
That's true. But having said all of that, though, you've got to have a stable opening combination. You have to make a decision eventually to have a stable opening combination. No matter how great they all are, you still have to have an element of stability because you need a good start. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but they need to make a decision now. Rahul got out for a duck day, which is neither here nor there. But
obviously, Rohit Sharma is your number one opener, without a doubt. And obviously, the fact that he he has been rested for this 2 tests, for this 2 T20s, as was said by Virat Kohli. But then Rohit Sharma is your now go-to man, is your go-to opener in this T20 side or across the formats, be it one day test or T20 for India. He's your go-to opener. So with now Ishan making a stupendous debut like the one he did today, I think he will be tried out for the next few matches. Obviously, you have in the wings, sweating in the wings, the guys like KL Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan. But I think obviously Virat did mention that Shikhar Dhawan is your third opener. So I think now for the next few matches, you can see Virat and Rohit and Ishan Kishan opening the batting. Obviously, KL Rahul might come to the equation as well, or he might bat at number 4.
It's amazing. So Ishan Kishan is actually a Mumbai Indian, correct?
Mumbai Indians, yes, absolutely.
So does he open with Rohit in the
No.
Well,
Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma opens the batting for Mumbai Indians.
So are you suggesting you're going to have Quinton de Kock come across from South Africa to be an Indian now? No. Sorry.
It's just interesting. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and social media say that they see Ishan Kishan as sort of someone who can inject life at 3, 4, 5. I don't see Mumbai Indians opening with him. You know, Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma have proved themselves to be pretty much consistent. I'm not saying on their day the best, but consistently one of the best opening combinations for a long time in the IPL, and I don't see that changing. So it's interesting that I personally can't see how you can't play KL Rahul. I think he's, you know, and it's interesting, Dabas, as we were saying the other day, that when you're talking about Rohit Sharma, you know, I think I'm pretty much right in saying that Dhawan and Rahul have had comfortably better IPLs than him last couple of years. You know, certainly last year they outscored him considerably. So they've got quite a difficult thing with the Indian selectors, because if you're going on stats and form, you know, it's Rahul all day long, isn't it? And Dhawan is rightly in the mix as well. So I honestly think that they'll stick with Rahul. I don't know next game what they'll do, but I think that Kohli really likes him, and you know, in terms of form in the IPL, he's one of the best players in that competition. So I think they'll want to stick with him.
What do you think, Tobias? Is he gone? Is he frozen? I think he's frozen. You've shocked him.
Is he back?
Did you hear that, Tobias?
Yeah.
Did you?
No, I couldn't. I could.
Okay,
I just said that it's interesting. The last couple of IPLs, you know, KL Rahul and Shikhar Dhawan have probably had better competitions than Rohit Sharma. And I really think that they'll want to stick with Rahul, because I think that he's consistently proven, especially in Indian conditions, you know, in the IPL, that he's one of the best in the business. I really don't see them wanting to just get rid of him after 1 or 2 games. You know, it's the nature of the beast in 2020 cricket. You do get out in the first over, you do get out cheaply, but you know, consistency-wise, I think he has to be a pick.
Obviously, Rahul. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Rahul definitely will be tried in the next few matches. And the fact that he has done really well in the IPL last season, and he was the captain of Kings 11 Punjab as well. And so I think KL Rahul definitely is an option. But with Ishan making such a debut, means it all means it's a fight for that spot. Means that second opener spot now. And India, I think India plays another 3 more matches, 6 matches before they play their first match in the T20 World Cup. So 6 more matches to try different combinations, and you have the IPL to assess how this batsman, how their form is. So I think it augurs well for India. All I can say.
You're saying 6 more matches, so the matches that they're currently involved with, and then there's another series they're going to play, are they?
Yeah, I think they are playing another 3 more matches against England, and I think Sri Lanka they're playing a T20 series.
Yeah,
if I'm not wrong, I think they are playing. They are playing 3 T20 matches against Sri Lanka, but then obviously there you will see more and more the second string players going and playing that series. I think that top players will be rested for the series. So, but basically, you have 3 matches where to try these combinations, because England, being the opponent they are, such a strong side. So because if you can try these players out and if they can fare well, so I think half of the experimentations is done.
I think my prediction for the Indian batting lineup here you go, Norman, you can write this down. I think in the World Cup first game, injury pending, I think India's batting lineup will look something like Rohit and KL Rahul, Kohli 3, Ishan Kishan 4, Rishabh Pant 5, Hardik Pandya 6, something like that. They might get Shirazia in at 5 and have Pant, Ia and Hardik in there, but I think that Ishan might end up at 4 and they'll open with the experience and go with Rahul and Rohit.
No, I would say it would be, if Ishan is not opening, then I think Surya Kumar Yadav, it will be will be a big favorite, because with the experience he brings into the side. Ishan Kishan is a youngster and you need more experience, especially for a tournament like the World Cup. So I think if Ishan is not tried at the top, I think opening the batting, then I think if you are sending in someone at number 4 or 5, it would be definitely Surya Kumar Yadav. Obviously, I totally agree with you that KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma will be persisted with in the opening slot. Come the World Cup, T20 World Cup. Then number 3, you have Virat Kohli. Number 4, again it will be between Surya Kumar Yadav and Ishan Kishan. Number 5, Rishabh Pant. Number 6, Hardik Pandya. So the top 6 of India are almost settled.
So you leave out the bloke who's done pretty well, Shirazia, not done much wrong at all.
Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, as you said, it's so many good players.
Because that number 4 slot, there will be a traffic jam kind of a situation. Obviously, with Shreyas Iyer, Surya Kumar Yadav, and Ishan Kishan, if it's not opening the batting, then obviously these 3 players will be vying for that number 4 slot.
But hang on a minute. There might be a log jam or a traffic, an actual huge amount of people wanting to play those positions. But I keep stressing this. You've got to have stability in your side. When they find a combination, they've got to settle on it. And I think that's what concerns me. Even though it was great to bring Ishan Kishan, he showed his way. It was a great initiative. But ultimately, when it comes to the World Cup, they've got to have a stable batting side. If you look at any of the previous World Cups, there have been stable batting sides going into the finals.
But it's different. I don't think it's not stable because they know that Rohit Sharma will be opening. I think when you say not stable is like we have no clue who's going to be opening, whereas they know exactly what their batting lineup will probably be. They're just trying out different things. So it's not, it's not stable. It's just
Yeah, but I'm hoping the word stable there means you've got a lineup it's known. It won't change around too much. It's not that they're having problems finding someone. It's probably they're going to have too many, which means they still have to settle on it and back certain players and lead them in that position. What do you think?
There's 2 theories when you go into World Cups, isn't there? And it's the same with football. It's the same with rugby. You either go with form, you pick players purely on current form, or you go with experience and past performances. So, and there's been success for both. I would be saying, if I was India with the IPL, I would be picking a lot on form. Just say, you guys, like Ishan Kishan is a form pick. He's consistently done well. He's done well in the IPL in India. We're going to stick him in. And someone like, a Shikhar Dhawan, who's been there, seen it, done it, isn't quite got in the form that he is going to miss out. And I like that. I think that there's a lot of things to go on picking on form. And it'll be interesting this year how India's squad will shape it come the World Cup, depending on how certain players go in the IPL. Shardul Thakur might have a really, really poor IPL, and they might not pick him for the World Cup squad. It would be interesting to see how squad is shaped based on IPL form.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, the IPL will be well and truly by the World Cup comes out. So that means the settled combinations will occur. It seems to me that the IPL combinations, whether it be Iyer with Pant or Rohit with the likes of Kishan and the like, are important. Not unlike what happens in Australia when they have the state level cricket. Certain players combine well, whether they were playing for Queensland, New South Wales, or whatever. So that's true. And the IPL's become almost the precursor to playing for their country.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Absolutely, I agree with you, because if we take the text instance of Ishan Kishan, he has been playing the IPL for last two seasons, and last season it was his performance. He was the highest scorer for Mumbai Indians, scoring almost more than 500 runs, 515 if I'm not wrong, at a strike rate of 158. So I think Ishan Kishan means the fact that he has been sharing the dressing room with the likes of Karen Pollard, Quinton de Kock, Rohit Sharma.
Incredible.
This is the biggest positive to come out of the IPL. Means these youngsters, they get to play with so many big stars, and that's the reason time and again you see all these English cricketers. They say from Owen Morgan, Josh Butler, Ben Stokes, you name it. They always they give IPL a very, very high credibility, because the standard of cricket that has been played in the IPL compared to other T20 leagues is just way above the rest.
And it's rarefied. It's got big crowds. The whole thing.
But it's also a detriment to Indian cricket as well, because it allows other countries, look at Jofra Archer, been pretty much made. He's certainly the cricketer he is now because of the IPL. You're giving the likes of Sam Curran, Tom Curran, guys that were on the Sam Billings. He was probably on the fringes of English stuff, but he's gone over and played well in the IPL at times. So, it's just great because it's enhancing the level of cricket globally, isn't it? Not just from an India point of view. I don't know if you saw today that Sky, they call him Sky Yadav, don't they? Is it Sky?
Yeah, Sky, Surya Kumar Yadav. Yeah.
He got rid of an unwanted record today. I don't know if you saw it. Rajat Bhatia now takes over for the most games played in the IPL without making an international appearance. So Sky Yadav had it, but now Rajat Bhatia takes over with 95 IPL matches without playing for your country. Just one of those cool little stats I saw that popped up.
Well, also, he didn't get a chance to bat, did he, today, which would have been frustrating. Yeah. Being 30 plus, he's more than 30, isn't he? Yadav is more than 30 years of age, and the fact that he's making his debut at international level like that is quite an honour. Almost Michael Hussey-like in terms of Test cricket. He was well and truly past 30. But that often brings a certain amount of hungriness, so that's a word for a player to do well.
Points to prove, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh, this is a magnificent match. The fact that India won's not what I'm talking about. The quality of play today, it was amazing. And I was even Punt. We're not really talking about Punt's small innings. He did great for his small time that he was there. He could have been anything. He wasn't needed, ironically. It's amazing. It's an amazing series. You know what? To be honest with you, Australia's got no hope against these two sides. They're going to be walloped by these two sides in this format. Australia, unless Maxwell plays a blinder.
No, I would like to differ from you. Obviously, T20 is such a format is that on that given day you never know. Means I totally disagree. I totally disagree with you, because this is such a format.
Do you really think Australia up there?
Obviously, definitely Australia. And
they've got play. If you played them over a 5-match series, England and India would both beat them. Probably 3-2, 4-1. But on a one-off game, every side in the world has players that can win a game of cricket.
I've already mentioned that. The West Indies and Pakistan are examples. I get that, but look at the way that they played the recent series against New Zealand. They up and down like a yo-yo. New Zealand
and you cannot count New Zealand out as well. You cannot count New Zealand out as well. Means obviously with India playing at home, England, then you have Australia, New Zealand. So these are the 4 teams that will be, and also West Indies. How can you keep West Indies out? How can you keep West Indies out?
Even Pakistan.
Even Pakistan. Yeah. Absolutely. So it will be. I think it will be a very open T20 World Cup.
I'm going on what we've seen these few days. Let's not forget it's in India. That's another aspect we must remember too. And England have had this chance now to play in amongst it, which only strengthens their chances overall, because they've got that exposure on what will be the final. They will play the final at this ground Ahmedabad's the
I
final.
don't think that home advantage plays as big a role in a 2020, just because there's more variance with how, the Bassers will probably agree that the will be huge in those big games. If you've got a World Cup semi-final, it would be a shame if it's England versus India or Australia versus India in the semi, and it's everyone sat there going, geez, whoever wins a toss and chases is probably a massive favourite. That's not what you want to see. You want to see it come down to Virat Kohli get 80 not out of 40 balls, or Owen Morgan scoring 100. It should come down to cricket. And I'm not saying that it seems that the toss seems quite important. Every captain will win the toss seems to be bowling at the moment, and that shows how important it is. But Norman's right that those sides aren't as good as England or India, but on their day, they can all turn up. They've all got players that can win a game. So I don't see home advantage in a T20 World Cup being that important. Look at the last World 2020 in India. It was England versus West Indies, wasn't it, in the final?
West Indies. And it was crack. And it was England. England were almost successfully going on to Bradford and Sutton. And Ben Stokes.
You're talking about the toss. Okay, let me just go back to the toss for a moment. What is the procedure or the protocols of the toss? Who calls and who tosses? How does it work?
Kohli tosses. I think that away side toss call every go. Is that right, Debassis? I think that's right.
I'm not sure about that.
I think Morgan calls every toss. I think Kohli tosses the coin and
every toss is I right?
I think so.
I'm not too sure about.
Okay. Well, it's extremely important for us to know this. I believe. I'd like to know the way the routine goes. I'm sure it's fair, but one has the ability to toss and one to call.
Yeah.
Correct? So that's an important thing that I'd like to know, because it's so pivotal. Not that there's anything untoward going on, but I'd like to know. And
I'd just like to see more day. There are all these day-night games because of the money factor and the TV rights. It probably fits in better with English TV companies. There's all these. It's all money, isn't it? But I'd just like to see a couple of these games, day games. Just so it's played same conditions the whole way through, and the pitch is the pitch and the balls are the balls. And I like day-night cricket, don't get me wrong, but 5-match series have 3 day games and 2 day night games. Why do all 5 have to be day-night games, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Owen Morgan's media conference has gone ahead, and Tabasha's Chris has just said earlier about the fact that Owen Morgan will always be fair in his appraisal of the match and will be transparent. We'll go through what you said, Chris, about Owen Morgan's press conference.
Have we lost Tabasha? He's not moving.
No, he's here. He's just frozen.
Okay. Can you hear? I don't know if you can hear me. That's all.
Tabasha, can you hear us? Continue on. He'll hear us.
Well, I could still actually looks like he's paying attention to us, but we'll wait till he comes back and we'll talk about that. But
okay, all right.
No, I just I just think as a cricket fan, it's just a great series. 2 sides at the peak of their powers and are showing it. The day games would be great just to add something different, But as I said, it's all about the cash side of things, and it's all about the TV rights and the crowds, isn't it? So it is what it is. But there we go.
No, but yeah, and I guess again, it's a situation like the pitch that both sides are under the same conditions, so there's no unfair nature to it.
Well, that's but if what we're saying, and if what we say with the toss and the due factor, what we're saying is that it's not under the same conditions, because the pitch, it significantly improves for batting when you chase. That's the whole due factor point. And England showed that in the first game, and India showed it today. So at least the day game, that doesn't come into it, and it'd just be good to see something slightly different. But if the due is a factor, then statistics would tell you that it does massively impact the conditions.
I didn't want to talk about the pitch, but it held up recently.
Fine. It's not the pitch. It's how the dew just flattens it, makes it quicker, zips on.
As an aside, I just wanted to mention the pitch. I think it's been holding up pretty well. I mean,
it should do. It's 2020. It's a brand new wicket in a 20 over game. You'd be slightly worried if they can't stick a wicket out that's pretty good. If that makes sense, I'd be worried.
It's with the women's game, just for a moment. South Africa has won that series, even though there's still a match to go. South Africa batted out of their skin. They looked incredibly dominant. It's a pity South African women don't bat that way more often, because they batted with great solidity throughout the whole innings rather than just one or two going. And they really showed up India. And India, you would argue, are ranked higher than South Africa, but at the moment, South Africa gave them a nice old, shellacking a little bit there. So, okay, now going back to the match again, we're very much okay. There are some questions about Virat Kohli's innings. He was very much at ease, wasn't he? I think he took his time.
I think that he had a bit of fortune early on with the drop catch, and you need that as a batter. You know, sometimes when it's a little thing that can just help. I think that early on, Kishan took the pressure off him a little bit because he was scoring really quickly and hitting sixes, and Kohli could just have a little bit of a look. You know, I think his first 20 or 30 runs, he wasn't scoring at 300. You know, he had a little bit of a look, and I think that Kishan took the pressure off him a little bit, that he didn't have to be worried about the scoreboard because he was scoring quickly, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that Kohli didn't score quickly. I just think that it helped the other end. The runs are flowing, and look, that you know, there's things that are sure in life, and that's Kohli's going to score runs in 2020 cricket for India. You know, it was a matter of when, not if. So I was never in doubt that the guy would come back to the fore, and it's I guess it's a shame from an England point of view, but you know, it's nice from a cricket point of view that he does, because he's one of the best.
When he got 73, and he didn't seem to be on 73, which means he accumulates runs so quick, so you know, not only quickly but effectively. It's the most intriguing batting performance, I must say. And look, there's even a comment here that Rohit should be made captain, colleges be there in the team. I know I put the question out there, which implies that I'm thinking he shouldn't be captain. He keeps proving when it comes to the crunch that he's able to win a series.
He's got 12,000 international runs at 62, or 10,000 international runs at average of 62, 63 as captain. I'd say that's a pretty decent all-round effort, to be honest.
Oh, but it's in all formats as well. You know, he hasn't had the opportunity in Test cricket as much because he doesn't play as much Test cricket. There aren't that many matches. But the T20 ODI format, he's been given a well-known hell of a go. I'm just waiting for him to score a T20 100. I know it sounds silly.
He's not done it yet. I saw that, yeah.
No. I'm waiting for them to do that. I mean, it's like today, he would have cruised to 100 if he was there, if he had a bigger score to face. So that's it would bug him a little bit. He would like to do it. I'm pretty sure he'd like to do it. That's one thing that'd be bugging him for sure.
Rajesh Ashwatthama, why did you drop Mark Wood? He was injured. He had a bruised heel. He wasn't rested or rotated or dropped. He was left out because of injury.
The only danger with Debashis having problems with his his internet is that I know if he leaves where he is now, he'll be flooded with work from extra time to post up that Kohli, because they're amazing. So we are looking at a few things, guys. Just to be an aside, we are looking at getting some interviews with Monty Panesar in relation to the Road Safety World Series. We're hoping for him to be around many of the players, the legends, and get them to call. We're actually negotiating that now. It looks pretty likely that's going to happen, thanks to both Aparna and Pretty, who are both in there doing that for me. So we're going to have a dual platform situation there. There has been mentioned about membership. I don't really want to bring it up now, but it's extremely important because we're going to be making that very unique. We're going to have lunches and dinners and meet and greets with some of the so-called legends that we have on the broadcast. And that includes the legend of Chris Vernon and Pretty Upala and the likes of Aparna Saini and Debashis. We're going to get the whole group together and we're going to have discussions with our members. And I love that. I think it'd be great to do. I'd love to be able to get amongst our viewers in that way. I think it's a great initiative. And thank you for those that have been talking about it with me. A lot of people have been asking about it. So actually, quite a few have already subscribed, as in not subscribed, have joined as the members, which is great. All right, back to the game for a moment.
I have a comment from Garvit Mehta and Sachin Yadav, who are saying most Poms are just whiners. They are here to make excuses after losing. They can't accept when their team is winning such a same. I think, in fairness, and Norman backed me up that before the first game and after the first game, when England pretty much stuffed India, won comfortably, that I said that the toss and the conditions suited England, and I said all along that the toss is going to be a massive thing. And if England had won the toss today and chased and won, I'd be sat here saying great win, but the conditions suited England, and that's all it is. And I think that it plays a massive part, and it's easy. It's not an excuse. I think that everyone's sort of in agreement that that's it plays a role. Yes, I mean, if they listen back to the previous show we did, I think we said it before and after the first game, didn't we? To be fair, that it was important, and the way that one-day cricket seems to be at the moment. Look at the PSL, look at the T10, look at that. It tends to heavily suit sides chasing at the moment. So it's an interesting dynamic, but certainly not much.
Okay, I'm going to propose something to you. There's no way you would risk not bowling first. Is that what you're saying? You would never.
I just don't think sides. I think that sides feel that they can control the game better chasing, and if with the dew factor in subcontinent Australia a little bit, and late summer in England as well. It's all parts of the world depending on what time of year you play. Then it just flattens the wicket out a bit. It puts a bit more pace in the wicket. It gives it a bit of zip, and it's easier to bat on it because it gives a bit of pace. So it's much easier to play your shots on it. So that's my only thoughts.
Okay, you can't always win the toss. So a team that wins the toss is inevitably going to bowl and then win the game. You've got to, as a coach and a captain, try to find some way of being able to arrest that if you lose the toss. If that makes any sense to you, because you don't want it to become a mentally foregone situation that you just think, oh, we're going to lose. I know they don't think that, but the way you're describing it, it's almost like you lose the toss. Oh no, there has to be a way of arresting that. That's what I'm getting at, Chris.
Yeah, no, I don't think that there's a mental block. I think that it just the way that 2020 and one-day cricket is, it does favour the batsman anyway. Small grounds, hard white balls. It's not even one ball now; it's two balls from either end, especially in 50 over cricket. So the ball's only 25 overs old even at the end, so it's harder. Hence why it just and if as a batsman you want pace on the ball, and the first innings in a game, if it just slows up a little bit, but in the second innings it just zips up a bit, and it just becomes that little bit easier to score. And the way that the balls are and the grounds are in general, it's hard to defend scores, and that's why sides, I think, with the way the bats are getting bigger, guys are getting more capable of hitting big shots, that it's just really hard to defend the score in general. And I don't think that's I don't think it's a mental thing. I think that's just the game. And, the sides are still going to win batting first, and it'd be interesting to see if later in this series the pitches deteriorate a little bit more and spin comes into it, where the sides will still risk fielding first. But that's just the way the game is. And it's exciting to see sides that do win the toss and bat, and they're clearly backing their ability and see if they can do it.
Yeah, now there's some very strange comments, like somebody wants Pretty or Pale open the batting with instead of Rahul. I'm not sure where that's come from, but anyway,
Sachin Yadav, you blame the toss. You are questioning the capability of both Indian and English sides. I don't think that's fair. I don't think anyone's questioning the ability. I'm just saying that it plays a big role, and it suits both sides are awesome sides. Hence why I said let's play a couple of day games, just because it's just one side against another. But Sachin, if you go and look at the PSL recently, 16 sides won the toss, bowled and chased in a row. That it's not just two games here. There is a lot of stats and precedent at the moment in world cricket that sides win the toss and chase. There is precedent that it suits, and the numbers don't lie. But no, they're two brilliant sides, and it's been similar to the Test match series so far. The first two games, it's been won quite comfortably by both sides so far, hasn't it? So
there's two funny comments. Well, and I like this. Yeah. How to nullify this dew factor? It gives sides batting second advantage. Is there any way? We send robots to Mars, but we can't fix the dew factor? I like that. I think that's amazing. That's kind of true. Maybe we should get NASA onto the dew factor and see what they can do for us. And Yeah,
Rajesh Ashwatthama just said Kohli said there was due. So got Gary Bank saying that Morgan said there wasn't. Kohli said there was. So, as I said, I think it's an accepted thing that it is a factor. Owen Morgan will never ever offer an excuse. He's a very much we weren't good enough today, but it's a fun dynamic. It's going to be interesting to see if a side can win the game batting. I'm sure that they will. I don't see it necessarily going the way of all 5 tosses this season, but this series. But it certainly gives you a slight benefit or a slight upper hand, doesn't it? Hence why so many sides are winning the toss and bowling. And why else would they be doing it if they didn't think it gave them an advantage?
The dew has become the new pitch discussion, isn't it? I mean, look, I'm a little bit perplexed how 2 captains could say 2 very different things about the dew. I'm a bit scratched my head about that, to be honest with you, because they can't both be right. So what's going on there? Why would one say yes and one say no? Why would you bother when it's obvious? It's obvious that it is a yes.
Yeah, I think that Owen Morgan he's just always a very in your face, honest. He doesn't want to be seen to offering any excuses, and I think that he's right. You've got to give credit to India today; they're brilliant, and that they showed after the first game. I sat here and said that India are comfortably a brilliant side, and they'll bounce back, and they showed today how good they were, and it's just a great series because they're, in my opinion, comfortably the 2 best sides in the world in white ball cricket, going head to head in a great series, and India were by far the best side today, as England were in the first game. And it's just that's how it is, really. I don't think that India just outperformed England today, especially the ball, I think.
But it does make a second innings look easier, doesn't it, when you've actually controlled a team and they get a relatively low score. The mental strength of that situation tends to favour the batter. I mean, they tend to be more relaxed. They take their time. Even the way the Indians batted in the first match, they looked stressed. They looked a bit frustrated. But the second, they put their foot off the pedal a bit. Sam Curran impressed me today. He didn't have much. He looked really good. He's definitely someone of importance to this England lineup. Jofra Archer was okay. Wasn't that his best? The elbow didn't affect him as much today, I thought. But Mark Wood, you mentioned his injury, parent. Aren't you frustrated to see him after one game out
I think
again?
it would just be a precaution. I'll be amazed if he's not back for the next game. They come pretty thick and fast at the moment. He's got a very strenuous bowling action, and you know what it's like with bowlers. If he's running in thinking this is going to hurt when I land, if it's his landing heel, then that's going to affect his performance. They've got guys there, Moeen Ali, Tom Curran, that are more than good enough to step up and play. I think that Tom Curran and that side today is probably a weakness, just because I don't think he's quite as good as other players that we've got, and I think that India targeted him today a little bit. Mark Wood will be back for the next game, I'm sure, and we'll see. We'll go back to the pace and bounce that was so effective in the first game.
So between Sam and Tom for a moment, Sam's the first person picked out of the 2. Is that what you
Different,
say?
but Sam is a left armour, offers a bit more swing, is probably a slightly better bat as well. Tom is a bit more of a death specialist. I see Tom Curran sort of more in that Chris Jordan role, can bowl at the death quite well. But Sam Curran gets the nod, just adds a bit more to the batting, and is a left armour, similar to Natarajan for India. It's a bit of a luxury if you've got a high quality left arm seamer, just for variation in your side.
Okay. Can I just ask a question about Ashwin? He doesn't play T20s, correct?
I think that he does. I think that he's certainly available. I saw a press conference where Kohli was asked about him and Sundar, and I think that Kohli said, Sundar's not done anything wrong and he's the man in the possession at the moment. But Ashwin will play in the IPL. I think that England have done quite clever in the last few years that if you want to extend guys' careers in Test cricket, then he doesn't have to play white ball cricket as much. And I know he's a spinner, so it is different. But I think that they might take a view of Ashwin that if you want him to play for another 3 or 4 years in the Test arena, that maybe missing out on the one day and the 2020 stuff might just keep him fresh and keep him, taking wickets in Test cricket.
Other than a World Cup.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll play in the T20 World Cup. He might come in for the white ball stuff. I don't know whether he'll play in the white ball stuff. You've got Washington Sundar, you've got Axar Patel, you've got Ravi Jadeja, you've got Kuldeep, like in the one day stuff. So, they've got a lot of options, haven't they?
So let's just quickly look at let's just imagine if Jadeja was in today's side, what difference would he have made to this team?
Well, it's impossible to say. It's who knows. He might have got.
Why is it impossible to say? He would have been. His feeling is one thing. My gosh, he can turn a match on a feeling in dismissal. So that's one. He bowls very tightly in this format as well, and can hit runs. So look, I think his feeling would have been the crucial side. England were the ones that fielded rather not poorly, but their catches when matches scenario was a bit disappointing.
I think I might be wrong, but if you look at stats of spinners who have done the best, they tend, and I'm not saying as a rule, but they tend to be wrist spinners, just because I think in 2020 cricket, someone like Jadeja or Axar Patel, they can tie an end down, but they typically are easy to get hold of because there's less mystery than look at the guys in the IPL who take the wickets. They generally tend to be your leg spinners or your Chinamans. You've got Rashid Khan, you've got Chalal, you've got Deepak Chahar, not Deepak Chahar, the other one, the leg spinner one. Kuldeep Yadav. Often they're guys that are the wrist spinners just because there's a bit more mystery there. So Jadeja's brilliant, but I think that he's possibly a better one-day bowler than 2020 bowler. I've seen games for Chennai. I think he plays for Chennai, Jadeja, where he hasn't bowled or he hasn't quite been as effective. So I think that sometimes in 2020 cricket, when sides are just literally trying to whack you all the time, that the finger spinners can be affected a little bit more than that. So, but
Chahal didn't bowl badly. He bowled quite well.
No, he's always steady, isn't he? He's always, I think he's India's leading wicket taker in 2020, leading spinner in 2020 internationals. So he would say he shouldn't be playing, but
Shardul Thakur, he when he gets a bit of movement and a bit of give on the pitch. Sundar, then Kumar, we can see why he keeps coming back into the side.
Yeah,
he tends to be very successful. So Bumrah's got to come back in, I would assume.
Shami, Natarajan, Jadeja, Axar. I think that they might go back to Axar just to bowl at Jason Roy. Have a spinner turning it away from the bat. I think that's really important. But Sundar didn't do himself any harm today either. I thought he bowled pretty well. So they've got a lot of good. Same as England. These sides have got a lot of talent, and it's just finding the combination that it's not even finding your best side in general. It's finding a combination that works for a World Cup. It's finding a side that is in form and clicks for. You only have to find a side really that clicks for a 2-3 week period, and you won a World Cup. That's all you have to do, and that's what these sides are desperately trying to work out at the moment: is what combination of 11 blokes can we put on this field that's going to win us a World Cup.
Oh, it just shows the significance of an IPL to me. The IPL is now virtually the centerpiece of form, and we do have a chance for Australians, English, South Africans, whatever, to actually play in that, which levels it somewhat. It helps a bit.
It's a massive thing for guys like Riley Meredith, for Jai Richardson. Josh Felipe for Australia, guys that haven't played a lot of international cricket. If they go and
those three guys you just mentioned are the future Australian cricket. They have to be.
But especially as the World Cup, the World 2020 is in India as well. These guys are going to go and play 15, 16 games potentially in Indian conditions, and you can't get much more form based than that. I know it's a few months apart, but a lot of sides, World Cup squads, there'll have to be some surprises in it potentially because they'll pick guys that have done well in the IPL.
So on that basis, some of the Australians that have decided to opt out of the IPL could be ruining that decision because they especially in a year when there's a World Cup in the same country, that makes it IPL, forgetting the money, being a great leveler and being able to be exposed to a whole range of bowlers.
Mark Wood did the same. Mark Wood opted out of the IPL to keep himself fresh. and fit, and to be mentally happy to go and play for England. So I get why guys are doing it, but it's going to be
Australia not playing it. Australia not playing during that winter period.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Australia specifically. The Australians are not playing. Well, they missed out on the South African tour. They played their Shield cricket. They had a very lame series against New Zealand, I would argue. They probably need to be in the IPL, not for the money, but for the exposure for this World Cup.
Maybe they just don't want to go to, India compared to England or Australia is very different, like home conditions wise. Home comforts aren't there. Maybe they just don't want to go and be in a bubble for 6 weeks. Maybe they feel that mentally, happiness wise, they just don't want to do it, and it's not worth the money in terms of being happy and being, it's tough. These bubbles are pretty tough. So maybe they've just thought we just don't want to do it. We want to spend a winter at home, have 3 or 4 months off of our family, live a normal life for a few months in Australia, and then tackle the World Cup next year when it comes.
Just quickly, Topley, what's the story with Topley? I don't know much.
Left arm seamer, medium pacer, not quick, but has some good slow ball death options. Rajesh asked that question. I don't think he'll play much unless they want to have a look, because I think Curran offers more in Indian conditions there, and he's a bit of a bunny with the bat. Topley, he can't bat, so I don't think that we'll see him in this series. But good experience for him, and he's capable of being a good bowler in that format anyway. So we might see him. I don't think necessarily. Maybe for Curran or Jordan if they rotate round in the last game, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Two questions which come to bear: Ben Stokes and Hardik Pandya.
Mm-hmm.
They're more of your traditional all-rounders, okay?
Yeah,
aren't they? They're not the spinning all-rounders. That's not their option. There's comment about Ben Stokes not playing well in India, which I find hard to believe because he's played well on a number of occasions already this season, whether it be tests or whatever. And Hardik Pandya is coming back from injury, so they're both going to be crucial players in the World Cup, regardless of what we're hearing, especially if it's monsoonal, because it'll be a lot more, you would argue, more give in the air in the monsoonal sort of conditions. I think it's going to be interesting. They're going to play a bit. They're not appearing as prominent now. Hardik Pandya, as well as Stokes, can win matches as well. And in fact, Hardik Pandya today, you could see evidence that he's getting back to what he's all about. He was quite free in his action, didn't he? He looked quite with it, and he didn't seem to have any problems. So I would argue that they're going to play a more significant role. They may be laying low a little bit now, but they're going to be very significant too, especially depending on the conditions. Because not all the games we played at Ahmedabad, of course, will be played in several other locations, and there will be different styles of pitches, you would argue, in some cases. And it'll be more ICC formatted. The ICC will have a bit of influence on the matches, I think. So it'll be interesting. Liam Plunkett. Why would they mention Liam Plunkett? He's still around, but what's his story?
Retired. He retired after the World Cup. He's mid to late 30s, and he was brilliant, to be fair, in the one-day side, but didn't play a lot of 2020 stuff. Let's face it, Ben Stokes. I know that people are saying he's not as good at India, but how many players are as good in India? He's been pretty good in the IPL. He played a massive role in England's 2020 when we got to the final 4 years ago, whenever it was. So I don't think we need to be talking about Ben Stokes. He's completely and utterly undroppable. He's almost first name on that team sheet.
So looking at the T20 internationals records as we speak here, and it is remarkable. I keep seeing Kohli's number one in the T20 link in the ODI. He's about 6, but he's about 200 games short of everybody else. So he's statistically going to thrash them. He'll probably lead those two stats over time, I would argue. Test cricket, he'll struggle to get near Tendulkar, but he may get as many hundreds, though, depending on how many. He's going to struggle to play 20 years of cricket, put it that way.
Yeah, Tendulkar started at 16, didn't he? So
yeah, exactly, went to almost 40. Well, not quite 40, but it seemed like it was 40. And would you say they're playing less Test cricket at the moment? in general?
Well, I think this year's one of the busiest years for Test cricket ever, isn't it? England have got 17
That's true,
tests.
because
India
there's a
must have
carryover because they didn't play much last year.
India must
They're
have
making up for last
13 or 14, mustn't they? Because they had 2 in Australia. They've had 4 against England. That's 6. They've got 1 Test championship. That's 7. They've got 2 in Sri Lanka. That's 9. They've got 5 over here. That's 14. So, I mean, I know because of COVID things have messed up a little bit, but it's certainly a busy year for Test cricket. It's just a shame from a cricket point of view that England and India and Australia are playing 15, 16, 17 tests a year, and New Zealand are playing 4 or 3, and West Indies are playing 4. They need to be
quite
playing.
frustrating. It's quite
They need to be
frustrating.
playing the same number, because you've got guys like Kane Williamson, who's arguably, I'm not saying he is, arguably one of the best batsmen ever, and he's going to never hit any records. I know he's got a great career, but you know, it's much easier for Kohli and Root and Steve Smith to score so many runs when they're playing twice as many games, isn't it? So
it's interesting. You look at Kohli again. He scored now 26 50s in T20 cricket, no hundreds. I like to see him score 100 in T20.
yeah,
I want it. Hopefully he'll play Zimbabwe one day or something. I'm joking.
He's good enough to score 100 against anyone, Kohli, let's face it. I mean, sometimes...
Well, today he got 73, and if he batted a little bit earlier, well, he did bat early anyway. But
he came in the first over.
No, sorry, I'll take that back. If perhaps Kishan had not got as many runs and may have put more pressure on Kohli to get more runs, it may have... He deserved to get 100 today, quite frankly.
He batted well. He did. He saw his side end, didn't he? And that's the main thing for him. So
yeah, and I think how many overs? There was 17.3 or something
overs. Two and a little bit left, I think. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't have been out of the question, and that the Kohli would have done that actually if he would have, if he needed to chase a bit more runs. This whole concept of getting over 200 in this series, I'd be surprised if anyone gets anywhere near 200.
Yeah, I don't think the pitch is quite that conducive to score big first innings runs.
No. And again, it has to be the first side to score 200, because the second side chasing will cruise past whatever score they're given. You would think so. It's actually, would a 200 plus score be a winning first innings score?
Well, I think statistically that's huge, isn't it? But I honestly think that both sides will be confident of chasing anything, given what they've seen with the wicket and how the conditions improve for batting somewhat. So I honestly think that they would sit there and say, no matter what either side set us, we would be confident of chasing.
It would be nice to see someone score 200 and have that and the game on.
Yeah.
Meaning they're putting pressure on the punts and Ayers and Kohlis and whoever to actually really...
I've just seen the 2 times I've seen the pitch play both games, it just looks like it's quite slow and 2-paced, which isn't easy to whack it about on it. So yeah, but we'll see.
Nilanshu Singh is saying he thinks Varun Chakravarti is very dangerous.
Well, if he wants to play, if he's a good cricketer, Varun Chakravarti, and I'm not saying I agree with it totally when you see like Rakeem Cornwall playing for the West Indies, but if he's serious about playing for India, then he needs to buck his ideas up and pass his fitness test, doesn't he? Because what's he doing? You want to play for your country. It's not like he's not playing any cricket. He's playing IPL stuff. He's probably playing professional cricket. Pass your fitness test, mate. Because from what I've seen, he probably would have played. I've a lot of people saying he would have played. So, I can't believe it's a ridiculous fitness test for these guys. It's just, you want to play for your country. We're not talking about, going to work in your local Hungry Jacks, are we? We're saying about playing elite sport for your country. Like, go and pass your fitness test.
But I don't think working in local Hungry Jacks would make you any better with it.
You know what I mean, though? Like, I know that there's a precedent with Rakeem Cornwall, and the game's changed. And if Virat Kohli, as captain of his country, says, we've got 100 blokes here that could easily be playing international cricket, all we want you to do is pass this fitness test, because 99 other blokes would give their right arm to be here. Just go and get fit and pass your fitness test and play for your country.
Yeah, that's true. All right. We might, or have you got any last thoughts?
No, I just said I think that it's hats off to India today. Too good for England, but same as the other day, there'll be bounce backs. It's they're the 2 best sides for a reason, and it's just a great series and a great spectacle, isn't it?
I'm predicting, as we've already seen, England win, India win, England win, India win, and then, my God, what a final. Yeah, I hope something like that pans out, and there's every chance it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if one day series is 1-1 going into the last game and this is 2-2, then it's been brilliant, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's a fantastic viewership for us to watch, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's Varun as a mystery spinner. Is he? I thought he was a. Is he more of a? Isn't he batting also in that realm? I don't know. Okay. All right, everyone. We've gone an hour and 20 minutes here. We've had a fantastic talk. In fact, our numbers are growing. They're not getting smaller, Chris. So we probably have, certainly attracted people to this talk. And once again, I want to thank Chris Vernon. Debashes was here earlier. Mind you, Debashes is writing copy for extra time. He's writing articles. He's posting videos. He's doing a lot of things. In fact, I've posted a video while I've been talking to you, by the way, on my side. The currency of this issue is very relevant. We're very blessed to have the people we have today. We had Priti and Aparna earlier on. We've got Chris now with Debashes. We'll have David Gravely. We'll have Adam Hollyoak. We'll have a lot of people coming up in the future. Simon Willis is amazing. So thank you again, guys. This is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket. I'm not going to say Norman Kochnick again. I'm getting some flack. So did I tell you about one of my mates from the country rang me up? He's watching every episode. He goes, Norman, stop saying your name so often. I said, well, that's what you do when you're.
I'm starting to think that my name's Norman Kochnick. I'm starting to think that I might change my name to Norman Kochnick down the bottom as well.
You just want to be Norman Kochnick. But maybe. The reality, we've got an actual tag there. You can see at Norm Koch. Point to your one, Chris.
I'm starting to have a few more people message on Twitter. So, send us some tweets, send us some questions. If anyone tweets us a question, we'll definitely make sure we answer it. It's difficult in the comments because they flash up, and especially when people, so it's hard to follow. But if someone tweets a question and tags us both in it, we'll make sure we answer it 100% for you guys.
I'm making that really, really clear. We need more effort on Twitter. If you haven't got a Twitter handle or Twitter account, go get one, because that's on any search engine. That's the first thing people see. So if you want to be known, get yourself on Twitter and join us both at Norm Koch and Vern158. We've got Priti on there, we've got Aparna on there, we've got a whole range. Adam Hollyoak. Unfortunately, had a few people pass away around him recently, which is rather sad, but Adam's amazing. He's got some great charities he works with as well. All right, guys, goodbye tonight. Well, we've had a great talk. This is Norman Kochnick again, Eyes on Cricket. Chris Vernon. We'll see each other tomorrow at 10:30. We might have an Aussie and a Pom coming up pretty soon as well. We'll see how we go.
Exciting.
All right. It'll be episode 11.
11, I think, yeah. Perfect. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Great to spend time with you. All the best, guys. Take care.
See you later.